Finals are coming up and you know you have to start studying rapid for hours on end and actually get stuff done. But you keep getting distracted, looking out the window, struggling to sit down and just do the work. And I know exactly how you feel, because at the end of the day, outside of this, I'm just a regular student as well. I go through the same BS every other week. And when I'm not getting enough work done a couple days in a row, because obviously if you don't get work done one day, then it's whatever. 2 days, okay, focus. And third day, you're like, all right, stop. Let's reflect. Why is this happening? And how do I course correct myself? And that's what I'm going to show you in this video. How to quickly course correct. How to practically and realistically become not only disciplined with your studies, but also how to stay disciplined throughout. Because your inability to focus and consistently get work done is because of 3 main problems, all of which have 3 practical, simple solutions. I've been using these for years, and it's not the sort of stuff that you'd find online because it was taught to me by wise people, like elders in my community, like my parents. These are the things that most people don't do that have effortlessly helped me work and study every day, to the extent where I now, in a super nerdy way, really love and enjoy what I do. And I want you to start feeling that same way, to start doing your work with the same level of discipline and enjoyment. Step 1, take control of your subconscious brain. The first step is to fix what's up here. Let's be real, most of you don't give a crap about what you're studying. You just want to get through your exams. And that, my friend, is your biggest downfall. You're trying to just force yourself to work when, in fact, your subconscious brain has no reason to even want to work. And the only real way to internally truly want to work on that same thing every single day is if you relate all the work that you're doing to your primal desires. And it is the deepest, strongest thing that will immediately kick you into action, into becoming automatically disciplined about all your work. So let me repeat. Relate everything that you're doing to family, success, fulfillment, happiness, money, power, status. There's a bunch of these primal desires, look them up. But these primal desires, these primal motivators are the basis of all human action. But what does relating this sort of stuff to your work even mean? The only way you will be able to consistently work towards something is if doing that thing either brings you happiness or fulfillment, i.e. makes you feel good, or if the fear of not doing it makes you feel crippling failure. See, our subconscious mind is very simple, but it's extremely powerful because this is where the majority of our processing, thinking, everything happens, all of it without us knowing it. And on a given day, you feeling lazy and not being able to push yourself is simply because you haven't given your mind, your subconscious mind, enough to care about it. Your emotional investment is not high enough to overcome the resistance to get started. So when I feel detached from my studies, from my work, when I stop caring about getting top results because I know I just need to pass this exam, I know that I'm subconsciously not invested right now. Because if I start to emotionally care about the work, and if I start linking the actual work with my emotions of fulfillment, my idea of success, the amount of pride I'll feel, then I'll automatically, without even thinking, want to work. Without thinking, I'll form habits, I'll create systems, I'll form plans, and prefer to do my studying, to do my YouTube stuff over all the other pointless things happening around me. Practically speaking, the only way you will get your subconscious mind to actually care about the work is if you repeatedly, for a few minutes every day before you start to study, during your studying, during the week, multiple times a day, start to think about your primal desires. And be super honest with yourself. If you never thought about it, then on day 1, draw and link all your motivators on a paper first. I want to work hard for my exams. Okay, why? Because I care about my grades. Why? Because it means I will achieve what I want in the future. And now envision your success. I will graduate with this distinction, which will lead me to this uni. I'll become successful in the things I want to do. I'll make my family proud. I'll make myself proud. And I'll feel that deep satisfaction and fulfillment that I will truly deserve after all this effort. You might even have felt it a bit as I said it, because that's how powerful linking this thought process with your actual work is. It's all we want at the end of the day. Next, on day 2, day 3, for the rest of the week, for the rest of the month, while you're doing your tasks, start thinking and envisioning that success you are imagining. You don't have to think about all the whys, just the key motivator. Imagine the happiness or the pride feeling, or imagine the failure or the dread that if you don't get what you want. And make sure those thoughts hit and aren't just shallow. The more you think about these thoughts, the more the positive and negative emotions from them get associated with the tasks that you're doing every day. So like Pavlov's dog, you're conditioning your subconscious mind to care about your studying and your goals. Mental change is achieved through repetition, so make sure you do it daily until it sinks in internally. Once you internally care, then a huge chunk of the motivation and the urgency to get stuff done is taken care of. the basis of your mind is rock solid. But there's one thing that royally screws our ability to concentrate and literally drags us away from all the work that we need to do. And that is the insane level of stimulation all around us. Which brings us on to the second problem and solution. Quick pause in the video. These take so much effort to make, so please leave a like, spam the comments, help me out with the algorithm, and let's get back to the video. Step 2, become more bored to make studying fun. A scary thought I've been having recently is that it's actually been years since I've been bored. Because in every instance, every lull of the day, I can just take out my phone or flick to YouTube on my tabs. No one cares anymore if you use your phone at work or in lectures, even in med school. I see people around me all the time shopping, scrolling through TikTok midway through lectures. And it blows my mind that that's the norm. And it's incredibly subconscious. I can't even blame anyone. If you're put in a room with nothing but your phone and your studies, you're picking your phone up every single time. But imagine instead of the phone and the book, I just put you in an empty room with just books. Like, sure, you'd avoid reading them and just get pretty bored, but 5 minutes later, 10 minutes later, 15 minutes later, you'd pick the books up and start reading. You'd start learning because why? Because it's better than doing nothing. And don't you see? That's the solution. Our brain gravitates to the most stimulating activity around us. That's the hack. So we need to make everything else in our life more boring. Make everything less stimulating. That sounds really bad, but wait. Practically, this means step 1, taking out a piece of paper and making a list of all the main activities that you do in the day, and then starring which ones are overly stimulating and distracting. And by the way, be specific with the activities. For example, checking Instagram stories. Another one can be scrolling TikTok feed. Another one can be binging YouTube podcasts. And it's a simple practical action because after combing through this list, you immediately either know, or after 1 minute of reflection, you'll understand exactly what the reasons you're screwing up and getting less work done are. Which now leads to step 2, purging all of the overly stimulating things in your day. I know people go on about, oh, we need moderation and everything, but not in this case. You gotta get rid of most of this stuff. Whether it's playing GTA for hours, binging Netflix uselessly at night, it all has to be put away, logged out of. You need to make sure your phone is super boring as well. And I'll pop up a bunch of specific tips and actions that you can take right now to make your phone more boring. And I know that this step is drastic, but it's the only thing that will work and actually reduce the stimulation enough for you to easily start to work and study properly again. This overstimulation, addiction to all of this stuff has been such a big issue over the last few years, especially since the pandemic. Because even if you do get into the good habits, it is so easy to just drop back into 10 of the bad ones, because those neural networks for those bad habits have been wired extremely strong in your head. You'll fall into the same habit loop. Your brain will get the same triggers of boredom, the same cues, the same cravings of going on your phone or playing a quick game. You'll remember the routine of opening up the PS4, hearing that sound, and you're relaxed. You're there and you get the reward of playing that game, and you're back to where you started. Even for example, after months of not having TikTok, I re-downloaded it 2 weeks ago and I've been spending 30 minutes, 1 hour every single day on it. It's horrendous because none of it even feels good. So even though I do a bunch of this stuff already, I'm joining you in this step. Purge and get rid of the extra stimulation. And just be bored. Get used to being bored. Allow your mind to detox, and gradually you'll see that you'll want to focus more. You'll want to get on with the studying. You'll pick up your phone and think, to be honest, there's not even much on here, and throw it back. Your notifications are all off. There's next to no fun apps on your phone. No one's texting you. You have better things to be doing with your life than being sucked into your phone, video games, binging. Study hard and learn with passion. Think of new projects and ideas of things that you can do. Play sports, go to the gym, spend time with your loved ones. Actually start living. That was a bit too motivational for a practical video like this, but honestly, my boys and close friends can vouch this is the sort of stuff I'm always on about in real life as well. Step 3, pushing past that resistance to get into the flow state. And the third biggest issue, a kind of a short-term issue that I have when I'm not able to focus in a single study session and not able to get into that flow state, is internal resistance. It's what happens when you start to work and then 20 seconds later you're thinking about something else, you're looking around, and even if your phone is away, your mind still wants to go to it because it wants to avoid this either difficult or boring thing. Because if the work and the studying was interesting and easy, then you'd easily just keep doing it until you get into the flow state. You'd easily just keep going. So how do we push past that initial resistance? The first thing, actually, I think for me, the most important thing to understand here is this concept of flow state. Because I've honestly found that the better you can understand how we focus, the more you actively think about it, the faster you'll get into it every day. Let me explain why. Being in a flow state when you're working isn't this binary, or you're either in the zone or not in the zone thing. It's actually a 4-step gradual cycle. The first step is the loading phase, that initial struggle you face, that resistance you have when you first start something. It makes you just feel squirmish and wants to leave the task and distract yourself. Then number 2, after you persist and push past that resistance, you get the release phase. This huge release of hormones, dopamine, serotonin, anandamide, all the things that help enhance focus and motivation. And before you know it, you're in the 3rd phase. Flow. This is that flow state that we all hear about. It's where you're just completely absorbed in the work and you're thinking about absolutely nothing else. It isn't even that amazing. It's just peaceful because you have no distractions in your mind. You're just focused. And this lasts for 1, 2, 3 hours, and then you have the recovery phase. But the most important thing that I want you to take away from this step is go and understand how this cycle works. Understand, okay, this initial resistance I'm feeling when I'm trying to work is normal. It's part of the flow cycle. It happens before I start a task, and it's strongest before I get into that flow state. Once I started to actively think about this in moments of struggle when I couldn't focus, I just started to feel a sense of, okay, it's fine. Let's grit my teeth and push past that resistance. It's an active mind thing. And then if I do that for max a couple minutes, I usually just get in the flow state. But for the times our mindset is not enough to push us into the flow state where the internal triggers are too strong, this is logically the practical action that you should take. Write down your internal triggers on a post-it note. Legit, the second your mind moves away from the tasks that you're doing, stop. Stay and quickly write down exactly what thought processes, what stimulus, which emotions dragged your mind away from the task. Even if it's a few words like, I don't get this, I'm too tired, I don't know where to start. Because the first step is recognizing the problem, and only then can you manage it over time. Our focus levels, especially in this day and age, are completely shot. So even though the step feels a bit extra, do it. I think it'll very much help you. And again, I've talked about this so much in my full focus guide. It's very long and it goes through exactly how I capitalize on each part of the flow cycle and use it to focus more for myself. Anyways, these were the unsaid pillars, the thought processes, and the main ideas that I wanted to convey with practical actions and tips for how you as a student can become more disciplined and focused with the work that you want to do, and do it every single day. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this helped. Make sure to check that full focus guide out on my channel at some point. Leave a like, spam the comments, and I will see you in the next one.